Good morning, guys. Hey, if you made it to episode 2, I appreciate it. I really understand that yesterday's episode was a bit much. It was kind of all over the place, but we're working on it. We're trying to figure things out, but we're going to record the process anyways. All right, so it's all good. All right, so here we go. So if you didn't catch episode 1, I'm going to go ahead and kind of sum it up for you. Um, I kind of told my backstory of how things got started and, the ups and downs and the trials and the frustrations and everything of that nature. But, you know, uh, I stuck with it. Here I am with the barber school now. I stuck with the process. I figured it out. And I will say this before we dive back into the story. A lot of people don't stick with it. Everything you do that's new is you're going to suck at it for a period of time. Everything that you do, right? Everything. And you're going to get better over time. You're going to learn things over time. But you're going to have to suck for a little bit. And some people just really, really have a problem with that. And I won't even say some people, most people. Most people will, instead of taking the opportunity to go and figure out and learn something, they will go and fall into something that's already working, i.e., a job. They'll go into that and they'll just stick with it. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with a job. For me personally, and I think for most of us, in the band of barbers, um, most of it, that was an issue for us. We wanted to be able to produce income that was going to take care of our families and our responsibilities, but we didn't necessarily really want to be locked into a place or a job that didn't give us the ability and freedoms to be there for our family. Okay, that's just it. And I know I went off on a little rant, but that's just it. Which kind of segues in somewhat to the story. So if you listen to episode 1, at the end I was telling you about when I went home and told my wife that I wanted to be a barber and that I was going to finish my apprenticeship, because at the time there was no schools in the area that would allow me to do what I wanted, that would train me. There was no barber schools. I could go back to another cosmetology school, but that isn't what I really wanted to do. I wanted to be a barber. I've been cutting hair since I was 13 years old. I wanted to be a barber. So, like I said, I met the guy who owned the barber shop, and when I met Jason, he was actually in the barbershop that I used to go to when I lived in another city as a kid, getting his haircut. So, we talked and things worked out, and we connected, and he said, "Hey man, yeah, come on in." And I'm going to say this, it's probably one of the best things that did as far as my career that could have happened. Um, he took a chance. He took a chance on me, brought me in, and and things of that nature. Now, um, he brought me in, and because I respect business and things like that, and I understood I was taking up a space. Um, I had to pay him booth rent every week. I had to pay him booth rent every week. Now, fortunately, fortunately, or unfortunately, at the time when I got started, I wasn't, I wasn't the guy. I'm still not the guy. Me personally saying, am I good at what I do? Absolutely. Am I the guy? No. I'm a guy that can cut hair. I'm a guy that takes this business very seriously. I'm a guy that loves this so much that I just want to share it with people. And I want to give people the opportunity, one, that I didn't have in a school-like setting. So, like I told you, I got into the shop, and so um, I'd say it was probably a month. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was a month, maybe 2 months. And I don't exactly remember how long it was, but it wasn't that long. It was a few weeks in, and in the beginning, Jason had given me some leeway, and so he was giving me time to start to build up clientele and things like that. So he gave me some leeway, and I didn't have to pay him booth rent right away. So it was, like I said, it was probably like 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm telling you this because some of you went into a shop and that you got humbled just because you were the best in the situation, and many of us started out cutting at home in an isolated environment. Just because you were the best there, or just because you were better than the other unlicensed people that you were working with, or around, or talking to, or doing stuff, just because you were the best there doesn't mean that you're good. And that was a lesson I had to learn. So, like I told you, I was working a rotating schedule, and I was paying for the full week, even though I wasn't there, because I was taking up the space. So, if I'm going to occupy the space, I'm going to pay you for the entire week. It's just how I do business. Some people may say that's wrong. Some people say you should have negotiated. I'm not negotiating anything. This is what it is. This is what we pay a week. I'm paying that because I'm holding up a space for you and your business. If another person comes along and you're willing to hold it for, you're willing to keep it for me, and to train me and talk and talk me through some things, and walk me through and help me learn the business, I'm going to pay you what you owe. So, because I had another job, paying my booth rent wasn't really an issue. It wasn't really a problem. It wasn't really an issue. And so what ended up happening was, and why I almost quit is, when I first got started, after the first couple of days, I was flooded with people. But my confidence was hurt because I wasn't putting out the same product as the other barbers in the shop. And so what did that mean? People gave me a chance. But after they gave me a chance, everything slowed down. And when I say everything, I mean everything slowed down. After they gave me a chance, everything slowed down. Because guess what? I didn't have the skill set. I didn't know how to use shears. I didn't know. I wasn't really that great of a fader. One of the barbers in there, used to say that I was leaving people with yarmulkes. Like, and that's no disrespect to the religion or anything like that. But I was leaving chili bowls on the top of people's heads. And so, I did that for a while, and the reason I almost quit is, I had went through a period of time where I had no customers. None. It was like I went in a 2-week period, um, 2-week period, and it's really about a week because I only worked 5 days within that 2-week period in the barbershop. But in those 5 days, I didn't cut a single hair. But for me, it was it was a 2-week period. 2-week period. I sat in there day after day after day after day after day, and I'm watching, you know, uh, clients go in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, and I couldn't get one, and I was frustrated. And I may be telling it out of order, I may be telling it crazy, but um, I believe that after that period of time, yeah. So I skipped around. So after that period of time, um, Jason came to me and was like, "Look, it's time to start paying, booth rent, da 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 da, so on and so forth." It's time to start paying booth rent. I had spent 2 weeks and hadn't cut any hair, and I got so angry because I'm like, I'm not even making any money. How am I going to afford to pay for this? Da 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 da, so on and so forth. Like, this is a lot. If I'm going to be in here and I'm not making money, this going to be just like the t-shirt business. See, I was hurt from the business before. I was hurt from the business before because I spent more time working in the business and not on the business. You know what I'm saying? I study more with the skills of how to make t-shirts than how to sell t-shirts. And I won't say that I have the gift of gab, but I know how to hold a conversation. So what I started to do is when I got people into my chair, I listened to them. And we communicated and we talked and we discussed things and we did all of this type of stuff. And that's what um, I did. And so I got frustrated and all I heard in my head was my wife saying, "If you quit this, I'm gonna punch you in your face." So I didn't quit. What I did was I looked for deficits that the other barbers had and I learned those. And so, like I said, I came into the shop and I didn't understand how to use scissors. Really, I understood the concept, but I didn't really understand how to use them. And so it was my goal to become the best at using scissors. And so what did I do? I became better at using scissors than anybody that was in the shop. I was the guy that the old people went to. And listen, understand something. You're in a business you're in a business to make money. And although that's not my desired clientele base now, um, it was then because they was willing to pay me. They was willing to give me a shot. And so I took the shot. And I learned and I watched what they were doing and what they struggled with, and I watched YouTube videos and I did all those sorts of things, and I watched over and over and over and over and over and over. And I pulled out mannequins and I practiced and I fumbled around and I'll never forget one day I bring the mannequin in, I sit the mannequin up and I sat in the middle of the floor and everybody's like, "What you doing?" I said, "I'm going to learn how to use these scissors." And I was going at the hair and I was hacking. I had no system, no rhythm, no nothing. I was just hacking away. And they were confused at why I was just hacking like that. I was trying to get comfortable because I wasn't comfortable. It was new. I sucked at it. So I said, I'm going to figure it out. And I did. Now, I will tell you that in this game, in this career, as a barber, if you stop learning, your career will become stagnant. There's always something to learn. If you feel like you've mastered the skills, then master the business behind the chair. If you feel like you've mastered the business behind the chair, then go back and check your skills. Refresh yourself on your skills. Refresh yourself on the things that you have done. It's just that simple. And so the reason that I didn't quit, like we talked about, the reason that I didn't quit was because thankfully my wife put a challenge in front of me that I wasn't willing to back down from. I wasn't willing to back down from the challenge because this was something that I had done long before I ever met my wife. I was here, I had the opportunity, and I was going to seize it. And that's what I did. I seized the opportunity. Seize your opportunity. Seize your chance. Take it, learn everything that you can. Learn everything that you can. As a new barber, you don't have a place to reject services and clients. Typically don't have a clientele. If you were to move to another place, you don't have service, you don't have clients. So rejecting services, and typically we reject services because we don't have a skill at it. We don't have a skill at how to cut children. We don't have a skill at how to do certain things. And let's be honest. How do you obtain a skill? You learn. You learn the skill. And that's what we have to do. We have to learn a skill. We have to face the problems that we have. We have to face the problems that we have and grow. Most of you are, probably adults, young adults or something like that may be listening to this podcast. But you remember as a child, you got to a certain point where you wanted to be an adult. You wanted to grow up. In this business, you have to grow up. In this business, you have to learn processes and steps and procedures, not only about providing the services, but about providing about the business itself. Listen, I've got you here, and I thank you again for listening to this podcast. Good news, we came up with a name, the Band of Barbers Podcast. Figure keep it simple, see if it sticks. It may or it may not. I don't know. We'll see. But the Band of Barbers Podcast, that's going to be the name, and this is where we are. So, like I said, and in closing, you're interested, you want to take the challenge, take the challenge. Don't take the challenge to learn what you want to learn. Take the challenge to learn everything about it. Right? Once you learn it and you figure things out, and you figure out the business, and you figure out how to provide the proper services, maybe then you could trim the fat. But you don't trim the fat in the beginning just because you don't understand how to do it. It's crazy. That is crazy. So I leave you with this. Don't give up on your dream. Don't trim the fat too early. Thank you again for listening. We'll talk to you soon.